Today we'll be discussing uh, computer science. As you can see on the screen, we'll be discussing computer science. And what we'll be doing today is just to, first of all, have a review and introduction. So, because computer science is a very, very broad field, and it entails different components and different segments. So I will just briefly introduce everyone to, first of all, what we are going to be discussing in our classes, and have an introduction about, first of all, what is computer and what is the science behind it. And subsequently, we'll be talking about different components, the different components of our computer science, as well as how it can be useful to each and everyone. So, in our classes, throughout the duration of our classes, we'll be discussing these three concepts. So each of these concepts has deeper details, but this is just a summary. So the first part is computing systems. So we'll be discussing what are computing systems, what do we use them for. The second part is algorithms and programming. What are algorithms and programs? What do we use them for? The third part is networks and the internet. So we'll be discussing what is network and the internet and what do we use them for. And I'm sure by this time every one of us are familiar with the internet, because our classes now are being done over the internet. So without the internet, or without networks and the internet, we won't be able to have our classes now. So, and we will try as much as possible to make it practical, so we'll be able to follow along, especially when we talk about networks and the internet and algorithms and programming. So we'll spend much of our time in algorithm and programming and networks and the internet. So you follow me as we go along. And I want the class to be interactive. So from time to time, I will be asking questions, and I want us to respond. So, and if we don't know it, we just say we have no idea, okay? And if you have a question, you can maybe raise your hand or signify. While the class is going on, if you have a question, if I say something that you don't get, you can always ask me as we go along. So, I'll be referring us to different materials and different sources. So even after our classes, if we are interested or we are curious enough, we can always reference it. We can always go to the different links and the different sources I'll give to you guys and do more. So the first part, which is computing systems. So in the world today, we interact with each other. Can everyone mute, please? Okay. Except you have questions, so don't unmute your mic. So we won't have any distractions. Okay. Can we continue? I hope that person has muted his or her mic. Okay. So, as I was saying, So as I was saying, now in the world today, we interact with each other using a certain platform, a certain medium. So as I said here, interaction nowadays is done virtually. I gave the example initially about how we use something, a platform, to have this class. So computer systems are basically the systems that we use to interact with each other. So it can be any type of computing system. So basically what they do is they collect information, they store information, they analyze the information, and they act upon the information based on what we want it to do. So computer systems are just systems. They rely on humans to be able to function, to be able to do whatever you want them to do. So whatever capabilities that computer systems have, they rely on humans to be able to carry out those capabilities. Now, computer systems, they are broadly divided into two. So we have the physical components of computer systems, as well as the instructions component, the component that is can't be visible, can't be easily visible by the eyes. So if something is physical, you can easily see it. So example of the physical component are hardware. So when we talk about hardware, some of what I added in my screen here, so you can see we have the monitor, the CPU, the keyboard, and things like that. So those are, we'll be discussing this in detail, but this is just an introduction. So these are examples of the physical component of computing systems. Now we have the instructions component, which are software. The software are basically codes. They are programs that we give to the computer system for them to process for us. Okay, so the way computer systems processes information, it uses both hardware and software to process information, and as I said, in digital form. So here, example of software, we can see
Sir, please get the keyboard.
Okay.
Get the keyboard.
Okay, so what do you want to ask?
Notes. We are writing the notes.
Okay. Okay. As I was saying, software.
Can I ask a question?
Can you ask a question? Okay.
You know, hard drive.
Yes, hard drive.
Which one does that belong to?
It belongs to hardware.
Oh.
Okay, so let's continue because of time. Now, so just on the screen here is a summary of some of the hardware and software that we know of today. So example of hardware are monitors, CPUs, keyboard, mouse. We have our speakers, laptops, mobile phone is an hardware. Now, the applications or the software, the component that are running, is the component that are running inside those hardware are called software. So some example of some of the things that we would have already seen is our browser, even the Zoom application that we're using for this class is a software. So Zoom is an example of a software. And we have your players, like this one is an example of software. Word document is an example of software. We have PowerPoint, normally used for presentations, is an example of software. So different Skype, so different types of software components that we have in computing system. Moving forward,